What it do, YouTube? It's your boy Who Dat Davis here for you. As always, if you don't know, you will know that over here we bleed black and gold until we are dead and cold. Thank you guys for joining me for today's episode of the BNG Breakdown Podcast. I apologize, so sincerely, I apologize to all my supporters who have held it down for me over here on this YouTube platform. A lot of moving pieces, a lot of moving parts in my personal life that's kept me out of the content creating scene. But we are here today. We're going to talk about this game here between the New Orleans Saints and the Philadelphia Eagles. The Saints lost a close one, 12-15 at home when they were favored by 3 points, going up against a Vic Fangio defense that Derek Carr has historically been overall pretty good against. Now, before we get into all that, I want to once again thank everyone who's held it down from over here on this platform. Thank TJ Jones, thank OG Jerry Poor, thank Tama, thank everybody who has supported me on this platform for the better part of a year and a half, going on to 2 years now. As of this November, it has been a blessing. It's been a blessing of an experience. Being able to just be one of these voices that's just talking just raw Saints, just raw facts, opinions, emotions, all that good stuff. It's been a pleasure. Now, I do have some good news going for y'all. Me and TJ talked on Twitter. Yes, I know it's named X, but we not calling it X over here. We not calling it. It's still Twitter. Okay. With that said, me and TJ, he hit me up, and we are going to be talking Atlanta Falcons this Wednesday. We're going to be coming together. We're going to be talking about the Atlanta Falcons and the New Orleans Saints in a heated rivalry match going into week 4, because this just got even more important if you're the Saints and you have these aspirations of getting to the postseason, especially with this loss today. You want to win next week and get this week already out of your mind. Now, with that said, let's get into today's topic of discussion. Whether it be one person, whether it be 10 people coming into this live and just giving me the raw thoughts and emotions, I appreciate you guys. We'll try to be a little more consistent going forward with all these. With that being said, let's get down with the breakdown. The New Orleans Saints were favored by 3 points going into the Superdome after the Philadelphia Eagles lost a heartbreaker at home to the Atlanta Falcons. They were on a short week in Monday Night Football. They were down, Lane Johnson, their stalwart right tackle, in the second quarter, and they had lost their right guard in the first quarter. Saquon Barkley wanted to get that costly drop out of his mind from Monday night, and they did so in a big way. Now, with that said, I had the Saints losing today, and here's why. For all the good our defense and our team is on the defensive side of the ball, no matter how good of a defensive coordinator or defensive play caller Dennis Allen is, the one thing that has always given Dennis Allen fits has been the RPO game in Jalen Hurts. He's been one of them. For whatever reason, Jalen Hurts, the RPO style, it just does not mesh up well with his physical style of having physical defensive linemen running downhill, playing bully ball. It does not mesh well with his RPO game. Now, overall, minus that one explosive play, they were able to execute the game plan as necessary. Brian Brzee came away with 2 sacks. Alontae Taylor had a sack. They contained Jalen Hurts for the most part. They contained Saquon Barkley for the most part, minus that 60-plus yard run. But with that said, there's just something to Jalen Hurts in this Eagles offense that just always gives them trouble. And we saw it today when they were down A.J. Brown, when they were without Devontae Smith in the second half. They had one reliable target, and the Saints knew that. It was tight end Dallas Goedert, who also is pretty well known to have a good game against the New Orleans Saints defense. As case in point, that explosive 3rd down and 16 conversion that had Dallas Goedert streaking down the sideline because they caught the Saints in man coverage and they ran a man beater. Shout out to Kellen Moore for understanding the situation in that moment. But overall, the overall game, this is a game the Saints should have won, even though I had them losing going 2-1 today. This was a game that was basically being handed to them on a silver platter, and they just could not execute for whatever reason. It's a lot of thoughts and emotions going into this. Let's start with the offensive side of the ball. The first possession for the Saints, Eric McCoy gets rolled up on by Alvin Kamara on a third down conversion run that bounced to the outside, the right side of the offense, left side of the Eagles defense. Got rolled up on a groin injury, very ginger walking, limping to the Saints locker room, ruled out for the rest of the day. And that's when I knew the Saints offense were in for a rough day. So no matter how bad that Phillies defensive line played last week, they still got some heavy boys to run. Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Brandon Graham, hell, even Nolan Smith, a guy that Saints fans wanted. He had himself a pretty good day. Montez Sweat coming off the edge on the right side. The offensive line had no answers, particularly in the interior. Because as soon as Eric McCoy went down, they had slid Lucas Patrick to center, which has not been a good spot for him throughout his career in the NFL. See his time with the Chicago Bears. Has not historically been a good spot for Lucas Patrick. I thought Cesar Ruiz was going to slide over to that side, but I don't know why they wanted to do that, knowing the tape that's on him at center, but that's a Clint Kubiak thing we're going to get into in a little bit. But overall, minus Taliesin Fuaga, that Saints O-line was just beat up on all day long. They couldn't stop a nosebleed. They couldn't block. They couldn't execute blocking schemes to set the edges for Alvin Kamara to bounce to the outside, who had a pretty quiet day, but he was starting to come on late in the fourth quarter. A big explosive play that went over Zach Bond in coverage that set up a eventual touchdown to Chris Olave in the red zone. Cesar Ruiz, you need to play better. Trevor Penning needs to play better. Those were two question marks I had going into this game offensively. Can Trevor Penning play better than last week? Because even though he wasn't seen as much last week against the Dallas Cowboys, he is a prime example of what media guys have always said. Sometimes scheme can mask deficiencies of players. And this is a prime example with Trevor Penning. The one thing that he cannot do is be put in a position to where he has to purely pass block. Now, put a lot of credit on Vic Fangio's name. He came in here with a game plan. He came here saying, okay, you want to run to the edges? You want to do these outside zone runs? Bet. I'm going to put my guys in 4-3 sets with my linebacker setting the edge as the fifth guy. We're going to take away this edge. We're going to see if you can out-execute us. That's exactly what he did. And they could not. They made the Saints one-dimensional for the most part. The Saints were forced into purely pass blocking situations, and it was absolutely awful. They couldn't stop those boys up front. Trevor Penning, Ruiz, Lucas Patrick at center. Ali Udoh was the worst offensive lineman in this game when he had come in. There was a reason why Trevor Penning beat him out for a right tackle spot. It was just awful up front. They could not execute when it mattered most. With that being said, there is a lot of blame to go around. We're going to start with the man that is heading over everything, Dennis Allen. There is a lot he still has to answer for. He had two good games against the Panthers and the Cowboys, but what are you going to do when things don't go your way? What are you going to do when things need to, come together during crunch time? Can you execute? Can you call the right play? Can you pull out a win when it's that grimy, when it's now down and dirty? Can you do that? My answer still is no. And I'm sure a lot of criticisms and this, that, and the third is going to be levied on Dennis Allen's head, as they should, because he called a horrible game overall. He had a good defensive game plan for the most part. I will give him credit where it's due on the defensive side. He held the Philadelphia Eagles to 15 points. A score like that gets you beat on an average day. But understanding the flow of the game is important. He didn't do that. 3rd and 1. You don't get it. 4th and 1 going into the fourth quarter. You decide to keep your offense out there. You want to try and trust in this O-line that's been beat up and shuffled around with players playing spots that they did not plan for. You decided to put all your trust in this O-line to get that 4th and 1, knowing what the Eagles have been doing to your offensive game plan all day long. You should have kicked the field goal there. Hell, there are at least 2 other instances where they should have relied on Blake Grupe's leg. They didn't do that. Why? Why didn't he? That is the question he's going to answer for all week long. Because by my estimation, the Saints, if they relied on Blake Grupe's leg, because he's known to hit for 60 plus during training camp, throughout the preseason, he hit a 57 yarder in week 1, another 50 plus in week 2. You did not trust in your kicker to deliver you a game. The Saints should have won, or could have won, by 18. 18-15 would have been the final score. The Saints just relied on the kicker and understood the flow of the game. They didn't do that. Nick Sirianni and the Eagles were basically handing you the game. You were handed the game on a silver platter. You decided to just, nope. I'm gonna go blow for both, and I'm gonna go band for band. You don't go band for band with the guy that was just about on his way out as Philly's head coach. You don't do that. And yes, as you're watching Twitter right now, you guys are on Twitter. CJ Gardner-Johnson, as by expected, he's chirping away, but we can't say nothing about it. We can't say nothing about it because DA gave him that win. Offensively, Derek Carr, we'll start there. The quarterback position, Derek Carr. Is there some blame that needs to be put on him? Absolutely. Is it majority of the blame? Absolutely not. He played the hand he was dealt, and it just did not work out. I wouldn't trust that makeshift offensive line either. We just saw how valuable Eric McCoy and Taysom Hill are to this offensive scheme. If Taysom Hill played, more than likely the Saints would have won this game, because he's such a mismatch with what you want to do offensively. Line him up at fullback, let him run a route. Tight end, fine. Speaking of tight ends, is there a reason why Juwan Johnson is not targeted? Is there a reason why he can't make an impact play? I think he only has, one catch through 3 weeks, if I'm not mistaken. Probably another one somewhere. Juwan Johnson has 1 catch for a touchdown. That was against Carolina. That is looking like an overrated extension they gave to Juwan Johnson. Where is he when you need someone to make a play for you? In a game where your 2 best wideouts are not having a good day, that third guy is supposed to step up. It is mainly the tight end. Foster Moreau was the only guy I've seen, and even he had a bad day, especially in the blocking game. Execution in the run blocking game was abysmal, especially out on the edges. There was a combo block between him and Mason Tipton that Alvin Kamara could have ran for at least a sizable game, 6 yards plus. That combo block fizzled out. They let Zach Bond free, and no one picked him up. There is a 4th-and-1. He gets blown up in the backfield, Foster Moreau, and it gets stopped short. Now, granted, they should have kicked the field goal anyway, but if you're going to run that play, execute. You have to execute. They didn't execute. Offensive line, Talisa Fuaga, the rookie left tackle, was the only one that did a decent job today. Talisa Fuaga was the only guy that even did a semblance of a good job today up front. I'm talking about reaching the next level, sealing edges. That is a guy that is going to be a cornerstone for you going forward. Cornerstone. So hats off to Talisa Fuaga. Running backs. Why is Jamal Williams? There's not much I can say about Jamal Williams. There's not much we can say about Jamal Williams. He's a product. He, just like Trevor Penning, is another product of the scheme. I love Jamal Williams. I love his energy. I love the fact that he's an anime guy, just like myself. But as a football guy, as a running back, what normally takes about half a second for Kamara to hit the hole, It takes Jamal Williams on average of at least 2 seconds to even get back to the line of scrimmage. That is awful. That is absolutely awful. That's absolutely awful. That's unacceptable. This team needs Kendre Miller. It needs AK and Kendre to be that 1-2 guy. The 1-2 headed monster. Wideouts. Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, they're going to have off day. This is one of the off days. They should have been more involved in the game plan. When things don't go your way offensively, big time players make big time plays. And we saw that on that last touchdown drive orchestrated by the Saints in the fourth quarter. Olave came up big. A big catch over the middle. A touchdown catch that left C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who's now running his mouth on Twitter, in the dust. Rashid Shaheed. Not much to say about Rashid Shaheed today. He should have been a little more involved. But the question is, are deep shots the only thing Rashid Shaheed's known for? Is that the only thing he's capable of doing? That's a question they're going to have to answer this week. It's Klint Kubiak. I understand that your starting Pro Bowl center Eric McCoy, who was playing at a first-team All-Pro level going into Week 3, went down due to a groin injury. I understand there were some shifting, moving pieces on your offensive line. But there were some play calls in there that you cannot get away with this week, sir. It's absolutely not. You cannot get away with it. Of all the things, why are you running a 4th and 1 run play to Kamara against a stacked box when they've been beating up on your injured O-line all game long? That's the play call you want to throw out. This was a game of who can make the least amount of mistakes. Klint Kubiak, you're in charge of the offense. So this one's on you too. Like I said, I'm not worried about the first 2 weeks. We're in Week 3 now. When things aren't going your way, can you execute when it matters? Dumb play calls. Dumb play calls. Defensively, it was an overall pretty solid game plan orchestrated by the Saints defense and Dennis Allen. Here's what they did. For 3.5 quarters, they were able to execute their game plan to a high level. They won the turnover margin. 2 turnovers created by the Saints team. A blocked punt on special teams. Shout out to special teams coordinator Darren Rizzi. A blocked punt. You had ample opportunity to capitalize on those. So shout out to DA in that regard. Guys who have made big plays: Brian Brzee, Chase Young, Alontae Taylor, Pete Werner, Demario Davis. That secondary, it's a little bit hit and miss. Tyrann Mathieu had a good day. Marshawn Lattimore had a pretty okay day. Will Harris and Jordan Howden, not so much a good day. Not so much a good day. Now, overall, like I said, I had the Saints losing today because I just did not trust they were finally going to be able to beat this demon that is Jalen Hurts and his Eagle offense. Is it a bad day? Yes. Is it the worst it can be? No, not at all. For one thing, the Denver Broncos, who were 0-2 going into Week 3 today, just went down to Tampa Bay and beat the brakes off of Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 26-7. So if you think we're having a bad day, those guys over there, they had it worse. So the Saints are still tied for first in the NFC South, pending tonight's game against the Kansas City Chiefs. And I highly doubt Kirk Cousins is going to lead this Atlanta team to a 2-1 start, not against the defending Super Bowl champions. So a safe bet, let's say for the sake of argument, they go 1-2. It's still the Bucs, it's still the Saints controlling the top of the division. Okay? With that being said, there is going to be a lot of uncomfortable conversations that need to be had in that locker room this week. Dennis Allen gave the game away. Klint Kubiak gave the game away. Will Harris, awful in coverage. Kellen Moore, Respect. You understood the tendencies when it mattered most, the tendencies of a defensive coordinator like Dennis Allen. You call a man beater. That was like similar to 2019. Similar to 2019 against the San Francisco 49ers. That call to George Kittle, he had him streaking down the sideline. That's how I remember that catch. That was PTSD inducing, man. But like I said, I appreciate everyone that's in the chat right now, whether it be 4 people or 40 people. Just getting my toes back into the Saints content creating game, even when it's win, lose, or draw, instead of just being that fair weather guy that just posts when they're winning. I appreciate you guys riding with me. We're going to get into some of these comments here. Justin Wallace, I appreciate you, Justin. Justin says, we didn't do enough on offense. We absolutely did not do enough on offense. Now, they had a chance to squeak out a win if play calls on that side of the ball were just a little bit better. You have to understand the flow of the game. Understand that they are taking away your bread and butter of the outside zone run. And now that tape is on full display for every other team you're going to face this season that has a above average D-line. The Falcons are going to be looking at this tape and going, yeah, we can do that too. And they can. They have the pieces to do so. Grady Jarrett, David Onyemata, Matthew Judon, Nate Landman, an underrated linebacker for the Falcons, who is great in the run stopping. They're going to be playing a lot of base and setting the edges with that third linebacker, that Sam linebacker, being that 5th guy on the end of the line of scrimmage. They're going to take away your outside zone. They're going to take away your bread and butter. They're going to force you in pass rushing situations. Can you execute when it matters? And I don't think they're going to be able to do so because they also got 2 really good safeties back there, and both Justin Simmons and Jesse Bates. AJ Terrell, food. I get it. All right, let's get some more of these comments here, man. I appreciate you guys. Look, at the end of the day, no one expected the Saints to go 2-1. A lot of people had us going 1-2. 1-2. So, by no means am I saying that the Saints can't make a run. They have the pieces to do so. This is the first test of actual adversity for this team. You're going to hear a lot about the media saying, were we overhyping the Saints, especially Nick Wright on First Things First. It's going to be a long week. Let's get through the week, y'all. Let's get through the week. Going to be hearing a lot about Munich Himes, about Dan Orlovsky. They're going to hear more about Rex Ryan. The list goes on and on. Were the Saints overhyped? Just tune the noise out, put your head back down, go back to work. This is a good smack in the mouth for the Saints. If they are who they think they are, they will bounce back next week against the Atlanta Falcons. They will bounce back next week. Dada Saint, what's going on, man? Longtime writer of the BNG Breakdown podcast. I love you, brother. I appreciate you. Dada Saint says, I've never been a fan of Juwan. I always felt he was very overrated and hyped. Unfortunately, nothing. Right now, I can't even disagree. I can't disagree at all. Juwan Johnson, like I said, I have to go back through the film to see if he has any more catches or look at his stats, but I only chart 1 catch for Juwan Johnson through the first 3 weeks of the season. 1 catch that went for a touchdown. You're supposed to be a guy who had this big contract for himself as an undrafted guy coming out of the University of Oregon, who played at Penn State, was moved to tight end. You're supposed to be this receiving threat, this big receiving tight end that's supposed to help in the passing game when things when things are grimy. There needs to get a chain mover out there. You're supposed to execute. Where were you? 0 catches, 0 targets. It's not a good day. It's just not a good day. That contract is looking more and more egregious. Who that you chosen, my boy? What's going on with you? No one guarded Dallas Goedert. Not true. Absolutely not true. If you're talking about that one play I think you're talking about, here's how that worked. And this is on DA too. 3rd and 16. Kellen Moore, Jalen Hurts, they're understanding the tendencies of Dennis Allen, who loves to play man-to-man across the board. Notice that the Saints were in cover 1 on 3rd and 16. They decided to call up a man beater. Mesh concepts, crossing routes that is designed to get somebody open. Jordan Howden coming up from his safety spot, supposed to run across the field, cut through all that trash, all that garbage, to help cover Dallas Goedert as he's starting to get free. He runs into Marshon Lattimore, and Marshon Lattimore runs into Jordan Howden. Three guys, three Saints defenders collide in the middle of the field that sprung both receivers open. Dallas Goedert streaks down the sideline for a 50-plus yard game. Kellen Moore understood the tendencies of the Saints, and he took advantage of it when they needed to have a play. It just erased a really good sack by Brian Brzee. Heartbreaker. That's all I can say. Dallas Goedert overall has been really good against the Saints. Always has been. Minus his rookie year in 2018. Dallas Goedert, when he's in, Jalen Hurts' numbers look a lot better. When he's not in, they look a lot worse. Because Dallas Goedert is always that safety valve for Jalen Hurts when A.J. Brown and/or Devontae Smith just can't get going in the passing game. He's always that guy to make the big catches when they needed him to. He had another one today, 10 for 170, all career highs. It is what it is. Plus, we got too cute on the third and short with Kamara snapped the ball on that power play, and 4th and 1 should have kicked the field goal. That is by my boy Chosen. I agree. That is exactly what I said when I saw that situation. You have to understand the flow of the game. This is on both DA and Clint Kubiak. In this game, points are a premium. They are a premium. You kick that field goal there, at the very, very, very least, you are going to overtime. You still have a chance to win the game. But they outcoached themselves. Clint Kubiak not understanding that you have shuffles on your offensive line. Eric McCoy is down. That means Lucas Patrick has to slide to center. You have to bring in Ali Udoh. A game where Trevor Penning is not having a good day. A game where Cesar Ruiz is getting bullied by Jalen Carter, having a long day. You have to understand that points are a premium in that situation. You're calling a power play when the Philadelphia Eagles know that you're about to run it. You get stuffed at the line by Zach Bond, who had a really good game today against the Saints, his former team. Understand the situation, kick the field goal there, and we could be having a whole completely different conversation right now. Having a whole completely different conversation. For whatever reason, they didn't. Now, they have questions they have to answer going into next week. The Atlanta Falcons are going to be looking at this tape. And they're going to be implementing so much of that going into next week. They're going to be doing a whole lot of base looks, a whole lot of 3 linebackers with 1 set in the edge as a 5th lineman. They're going to take away your bread and butter, what you want to do offensively. And especially knowing that you're going to be out Eric McCoy for at least another week or two. It's going to be a long, long week. How are they going to respond to this? We will see. This is the first piece of adversity that the Saints have had so far this season. And I'm interested in seeing what they do. Because if they are who they think they are, they will bounce back next week against a team that they should theoretically win against. They should win that game. But it's the NFL. Anything can happen. Like I said earlier, look at what Denver did against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Beat them down when no one gave them a chance. Saints were favored, Bucs were favored. Both teams laid an egg today. Only caveat is Bucs laid an even worse egg. It was horrible. God awful. It's going to be a long week, y'all. It's going to be a long week. But, like I said, I appreciate everybody, every single one of y'all who stopped by and gave y'all thoughts in this comment section. I apologize for it not being as long as it normally is. I'm going to keep it around 30 minutes. We're going to go into this week talking with TJ, the host other State of the Saints podcast. We're going to be talking about the Atlanta Falcons on Wednesday. It's going to be a really good discussion with the roundtable. I got invited out. I'm obviously going to take advantage of it because I want to get back into this thing. Stay tuned for more on this channel. I'm going to be posting little by little. I'm not going to be too exotic with all the post content. As you can see, I got a new rig here. I got a new setup here. It's taking me a while to figure out the audio systems and everything here, but I will get it figured out eventually. And when we do, we're back to working on live stream content for this channel. For right now, just hang tight with me with my phone. Hang tight with me like making videos from my phone in my car or this, that, and the third. I'm going to be trying to make more content for you guys. I'm going to explain what I've been doing over the last 4, 5, 6 months of the off season. Until next time, keep your head up, guys. They got a long season. One way or another, this team's going to show us what they're about. And as always, no matter if you love them, you hate them, you respect them, you don't respect them, we bleed black and gold until we are dead and cold. I will see you guys Wednesday for TJ in the roundtable talking about the preview matchup for the Atlanta Falcons and the New Orleans Saints. In fact, I'm going to pop over to TJ's channel right now and see if he's live, and I might join that discussion. You never know. So go ahead, hop on over there, give my boy TJ some love. We'll see you guys soon. See you guys Wednesday. See you guys tomorrow even. Who knows? Who knows what your boy got cooked up? But enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of the football. Don't let this one get you down too much. It's going to be, like I said, it's a long season. Long season.